Today is June 27th, 2024. My name is Joe Reingold, and I'm here interviewing Tara Schiller. Good afternoon, Tara.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. Tell us a little bit about whatever you know about your grandparents and your parents, whatever you want to share, where they were from, what they did for a living, where they lived, etc.
So on my dad's side, they came from Russia. I know it was a little tiny town, and at one point I knew the name of it, but now I don't. But it was really long, and they came over. See, I'm not going to be good at dates.
That's okay.
Terrible. But they came over. Actually, they met each other here. My grandmother was maybe 14, and her parents said, "We're going to get you married. We're going to get you married now." And they decided they'd match her up with this man, and they would have dinner, bring him over for dinner. And she did not want to get married. She was, "I'm not doing it," so she snuck out the window, and it ended up that he married her, and that was my grandfather, who I never met. He died before I was born. So I asked her one time, "Grandma," and she is just a lady she was a lady from the old country with the accent and everything. And she didn't know a lot of English, and she had 8 or 9 kids.
Wow.
And so I said, "Grandma, did you love Grandpa?" And she said, "Love? I had his children. I cooked his meals. What's to love?"
It's like with Fiddler on the Roof, right?
It was. And so that's what I remember about Grandma. We would go over there every week and have be with her on Sundays, and she would want to watch the Ed Solomon show.
Made him Jewish.
She talked to
Where was
him.
she living at the time? Where were you?
So we were in San Antonio.
So
She moved, they moved to, from Russia, they went through Ellis Island, they ended up in Omaha.
Okay.
Because there were some relatives there. Then when all the kids were around, they moved to California to be helped out, and they lived months with some other family members. And from when my dad, who is the second youngest, was old enough to work, he did, they all did, to make sure that everybody was fed. My grandfather they eventually moved to San Antonio, and my grandfather started a printing business, a Jewish newspaper in Yiddish.
Oh.
And I know that Dad helped with, and the other brothers, I guess, helped with selling the ads. And Dad had stories about the ads and how they'd go and try to collect money, and they'd make whoppers of stories of how this Yiddish newspaper was national, and I mean, it was, they did all kinds of stuff.
How did they pick San Antonio from California?
I can't remember how that happened.
Okay. Did they know, maybe they knew somebody here? There?
Oh, the Air Force. Dad was in the Air Force, but Grandma, I don't know how beforehand that happened. I got to get those filled in. My dad is now 99, and I better get some more facts.
Okay.
Because he'll remember a lot of history, not what happened yesterday. So, but I know that Dad was in the service later on, and he was. So I don't know how much was in California and how much when they moved finally to San Antonio.
I was just curious because it's an odd move.
Yeah,
So,
I know. Yeah, so I don't know. My mom's side they've been in the United States for as long as I as long as she knows about grandparents, all that. They grew up, and she grew up in St. Louis, and she's the most non-Jewish Jew from birth. Never, practiced anything, but still Jewish. And she tolerated Dad went from Orthodox to Reform when they got married, and Mom tolerated going to temple.
That was their compromise.
That was their compromise.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I always felt Jewish because of going through Tofty, Safety, Tofty. Always had Jewish friends, and felt different than non-Jews. So, now that I've gotten off that subject.
Yes, go ahead. Tell me about your younger years in San Antonio. What was it like? What kind of things were you involved in, and what did you enjoy doing in school or after school hours, etc.?
So, I felt extremely privileged. My dad and Mom, even though they scrimped and saved, my mom was pretty frugal, Dad too, but as I said at my mom's funeral, Mom always gave me what I needed, not necessarily what I wanted. So we went to the best school district, and that was a school district that didn't have too many Jewish people. But again, I got my Judaism through the temple. And my best friends were both Jewish and non-Jewish. But I always felt very, very close to my religion. And I think that's through my dad. My dad always said, please marry a Jew. We got to stick together. Please marry a Jew. And I dated other people in college, but, Jeff was the one.
Right.
My brothers, however, I have two brothers who live in San Antonio now, and they did not marry Jewish. And so I keep saying that my kids have to be Dad's favorite. But I was very involved in high school, did all the pep squad, drill team, drama, speech tournaments. I was involved in whatever I could. It was just a lot of fun. Yeah.
And after high school?
After high school, Dad gave me a big choice. You can go to University of Texas. So I went to University of Texas.
No choice there. Okay.
Yeah, the school, and it was such an inexpensive way to go, and close to home. And Dad has always been old-fashioned. You're going to get your MRS degree, so why spend a lot of money? So went to UT, and I thrived there. I was a big nerd in high school. Never had a date. My brothers always teased me if for some reason someone did pay attention to me, they would make fun of them and all that stuff. But it didn't usually happen. And so college was just a whole different experience. It was so eye-opening and fun, and I roomed with my best friend who was going to be here for this interview and did. And I joined SDT, and that was, Dad insisted that I join a Jewish sorority so that I would be around Jewish people. I became little sister of A.E. Pi, not because of my husband now, but because just other people that I met, and I stayed a active little sister for 4 years. Those guys, I think because I had two brothers, those guys were my brothers. And I felt very close to them. They were very protective of me, and it was very it was really nice to be with those group of people.
And it gave you an instant social life, basically, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Between SDT and AEPI, I kept pretty busy.
Yep.
And then there was school.
And then there were classes, whatever.
Yeah.
So what was your major? What did you want to
So
do?
I didn't know for sure. I majored in advertising. Coincidentally, my dad was in advertising at one point. I thought I could be more creative that way, and I ended up working at a radio station selling advertising. I also worked for the the UT newspaper and sold advertising. And I like sales, and I enjoyed that for a while. And then I was swept away to get married at a young age, 23, and left and moved to Dallas. So
How did you meet Jeff? Was he in AEPI?
he was in AEPI, and he was dating one of my friends from the sorority house, and he wanted to get married to her, and she turned him down. When she turned him down, he was so distraught that for 3 weeks he didn't shower. And I was his friend because I'm one of the friends, and we, he had always given me rides to places with his girlfriend, so I was the third wheel. But that was fine because I was little sister and I could do that. Well, at one point, soon after that, he asked me out, and I said, I can't do that. I'm living in the same house as your ex-girlfriend. So I talked to her about it. She goes, oh my gosh, he loves you. He thinks you're so cute. You definitely need to go out with him. I mean, she's the one that blew him off. So
Yeah, right.
every time, again, after that, he asked me out, I would go back to her just to make sure I don't want any issues, and it was fine. So subsequently, he fixed her up later on in life with her husband, who now she's divorced to. But, yeah.
Okay, things happen that way, right?
Yeah.
So then after college you both decided you would settle in Dallas?
So, yes, I was always wanted to be in Dallas. San Antonio was home, but I really wanted to be in Dallas. And in Dallas, I wanted to work in the advertising field or in marketing. And I went to Delta Airlines, and this was in 1978. And the marketing department said, and I quote, "You are not bald and over 50. You can go upstairs to the little reservation office and they would be happy to help you." So I went, okay. So I went and I applied for reservationist at Delta Airlines and got that and worked that for a while. So, yeah.
I guess you fit that profile just fine.
Yes, I was the right gender and the right age.
Wonderful.
It was amazing.
So what kind of things were you and Jeff in, or were you involved in when you first moved here? What organizations or synagogue or anything like that?
So Jeff we put I guess I should say, how did that happen? Tiferet Israel, no. At very first we were at Temple, had Temple Life. Temple Shalom, Temple Emmanuel. He grew up at Temple Emmanuel. So we looked at Temple Shalom, started with that. Once our daughter, Callie, we wanted to give her a Jewish education, went to Akiba. She came home and said, "You have to keep a kosher home, otherwise I can't have any friends over." So we had just gone to Israel, and we were like, okay, that's kind of true. I mean, if she wants to have some kind of friendships. So we started doing that, and then Jeff got more into these. Emmanuel Shalom's not for me, and he went to Tiferet, and I followed him because I didn't want to separate from that, and I stayed with him at Tiferet for years and years. And then about 3 years ago, I went, okay, kids are gone. This is not for me. Why do I get a stomach ache every time I go to to Barrett? And it was none too soon because they have now become Orthodox, where I wouldn't have been able to even sit with them. So I went and decided to look around for my roots, which is Reform, and found a dot as welcoming and as wonderful, and I joined there, and Jeff's very happy, not a problem, and we just, compare notes and stuff, and help.
Yes.
We would sometimes go with each other to things.
He stayed at Teferet?
Oh yeah, he's very active.
Yeah.
He's been president. He's been head of Hever Kadisha. He's a lot of stuff there, and even though he might have friends, really good friends outside of that, that's right. He feels too loyal to leave it, and he would never go to a Reform anyway. But he'll go with me sometimes. So that's good. Yeah, and my kids. Callie, who is now married and has 2 grandkids, she is, they have a kosher home, they join an Orthodox synagogue, but they're not total Shomer Shabbos or anything like that, but they're very into their Jewish religion. On the other hand, my other daughter, married non-Jew, and is not. She's spiritual, but she's not religious at all. She feels like she's Jewish, but that's about it.
Where do they live, your 2 daughters?
They live, Brady lives in Plano. She bought a house a few years ago, and Callie's Silver Spring, Maryland.
Oh, okay. So I guess you have many trips up and back.
Yes.
To see them.
Between San Antonio and Maryland. Yeah.
Okay. So can you think of someone who you might consider a mentor throughout the years
Yes.
in your life?
So when I grew up, I had, as I said, Mom didn't do much religion, so I had a Jewish mother, and that was Linda Josek, who's my good friend. Her mom was my Jewish mother. Okay. I would go to her house for Shabbat, lighting the candles. We'd have Shabbat service, or a dinner. I felt like she was my Jewish mother. So I'd say she was. So years later, we went to Israel on a Federation mission. I was involved with Federation as far as young leadership. And we went on a Federation mission of only 18 people, which was so wonderful. Wow. And on that mission, we went to Masada, and I was surprised with the naming, because I never had a Hebrew name, and Jeff never had a Hebrew name. Oh. So both of us, they had asked me beforehand, who would you want to be named after? And I put Linda's mom, who is Beatrice, and so I'm Batya.
Oh, beautiful.
So they presented a certificate with the Batya, and Jeff with Menachem, so after his dad. So it was really meaningful. Of course, we had to give more to Federation then.
I did that too for my honeymoon with Federation.
Did you?
Yeah, trip to Israel.
Yeah.
Along the way, what would you say, besides your children, of course, your family, but what else would you say you are very, very proud of? Something that you worked on, some project you did, just something that came to fruition that you're really proud that you did?
See, and I'm proud of a lot of things, and at this point, come back to that, because
okay. I'll come back to it.
There are some things that I did that I was like, wow, did I do that?
Yeah.
I did that.
Well, that's good
but
that you have those things in mind.
I know.
That's okay. What I love to ask people who are not from here, either way, but especially if they're not natives, how have you seen the city change from the time you got here till now? The growth, obviously the growth is amazing, but what else have you seen?
I still feel like I'm in a bubble because I have the same friends, I live in Plano, and the whole area, just so many new synagogues and, places to eat, buy food, all that. Doesn't compare to some cities, but yeah.
It's come a long way.
Yeah, it's come a long way. I haven't, other than the population and things like that, I'm not seeing a lot of difference.
No?
I don't,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And what kind of things are you and Jeff involved in now? From your younger days, but now as you're older.
So I had joined Hadassah, NCJW. I play mahjong, which just has to be a Jewish thing. I once I joined Adat Havarim, I'm on the board of Sisterhood, and I did programming in which this is one thing I am proud of, that on the programming I got to do things for the community. I did a project for the Chai House. I led them in not only fun things like axe throwing, but then Chai House.
I heard about that.
Yeah, you did. It was a lot of fun. So the programming on that, and then they've asked me to come up with a social action project. And I'm probably going to need help in order to figure out what would be best for my temple. I have an issue with my temple I guess another thing that's changed so much is the politics, and how divisive really Jews have become. And it's very disheartening, and we can all agree about Israel, but when it comes to other things, it's very difficult. And I find myself more in the thought of, or I'm siding more with the people that are going to Tiferet for the most part than the people of Adat Havarim, which is sad, but we have to just, I don't want to just, it shouldn't have a place in I go to Torah study every week, and in Torah study, if someone mentions something that it gets, is something political that I don't share the views, it's very upsetting, and so I have to bring it up. So I feel a lot of times that I'm, battling that kind of stuff.
It's hard.
Yeah. And even though I believe in a lot of things that one side does, both sides do, it's still difficult. So that's, I think, the big change in our culture right now is that divisiveness, and very scary the around the world what's going on. And of course, I talked to my dad about anti-Semitism and how he was beat up. He was a little guy with big ears, and he constantly got beat up when he was young. And he was finally he met a friend who became a lifelong friend who was a big Jewish guy, and he was his bodyguard, basically. Wow. So I went back to Dad recently and asked him, do you see this like the same thing as what happened back then? And he said, yeah, it's really terrible.
Yeah, divisiveness is not good.
Yeah.
And you're right. Anything else you want to add? Did you think of anything? Well, you said a few things already, High House and some other stuff that you've done, but anything else that you can think of that you would like to share?
I'm proud of just being a righteous person. Trying always to do the right thing. My parents taught me that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of Judaism. And I'm proud that my kids feel that way. I see my kids being that way. It's like, oh my gosh, that's so great. You did
something very right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sure. Well, that was